Yo guys, I've got a spark which I'm going to use to ignite the fire for a brand new core inversion Locke episode that has a very unique style in comparison to the episodes preceding it. And this is exactly what I promised you last episode. I told you there was going to be a different style to this video, and already right off the bat you can tell that it's post-commentated in the little yellow box in the top left hand corner of the screen. Mind you, I have an introduction to introduce you to this unique style that the core inversion Locke episode is taken upon today. So yes, how could I possibly introduce the style without an introduction now, right? But regardless, in this window you're no longer going to see my face from this point onwards, because I'm going to post-commentate alongside some Smash Brothers gameplay. But gameplay of what, I hear you asking? None other than this Dark Samus amiibo you see before you, because this is a Skylanders themed 12 Days of Smash Bros video, hence why the watermark in the bottom right hand corner of the gameplay has changed for the 12 Days of Smash Bros iteration. But regardless, this amiibo is the one specifically that I'm going to be leveling up as for Smash Bros gameplay in this yellow boxed section of the screen right now, purely because of the fact that I grabbed this amiibo for the very first time during a Skylanders hunting video. Yeah, rather Halloween themed amiibo, and that's Dark Samus, purely because dark, when does trick-or-treating take place in the dark, you know. These blacks and blues are just the traditional colour palette for Halloween, so naturally I feel like Dark Samus, based on the colour palette, the naming, and just the theme of the character in general, definitely go alongside that of Halloween. Mind you, despite the fact that this video is going to come out long after Halloween, it is still the Halloween special. So let's open this bad boy up, shall we? Brand new amiibos to add to the collection. Do not mind if I do. That is, if I can even get into the back of it. There you go. Now, this packaging is not going to be salvageable on the slightest, but who cares so long as the amiibo inside is awesome. So we're just going to throw away all that crap and admire this amiibo at hand. Man, does she look so cool. She has so many small little detailed increments, especially on the shoulder pads, the gun. It just looks like nerve, so to say, and that just adds so much, well, makes the design so fear-inducing is what I'm trying to say here. It adds that fear, naturally speaking, because it looks so humanoid and yet so robotic at the same time. It's a perfect blend of the two. So yeah, perfect Halloween type amiibo right there. Quotation marks before the Halloween part, it very much was an amiibo. There is no quotation marks about it being an amiibo. That's basically a fact, you know. This base right here basically proves that. But so that is a Skylanders themed video, so I might as well maintain a amiibo that I got for the Skylanders themed video and level them up for the Skylanders themed video. Also, I accidentally just hit the base now. But yes, not only are we going to level up Dark Samus over here, but we're also going to invert the colours. So you're going to see some inverted Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Dark Samus amiibo gameplay in the top left hand corner of the screen, with some post commentary on my behalf, explaining through how I would represent Skylanders in Smash and the ideas I have to translate Skylanders to this incredible fighting game. Without further ado, let's get to Smash Bros. Gameplay. In this top left hand corner of the screen, I think I emphasised all I needed to emphasise through repetition, so let's get to it. As you could tell from the Super Smash Bros. Gameplay that's now found itself in the top left hand of the screen, my Dark Samus amiibo is not starting at level 1 purely because I applied some spirits to her as I was setting up her amiibo. So naturally that's where the increased level comes from, mind you, but regardless we're going to keep leveling her up as we post-commentate this here episode of the core inversion Locke, which is going to involve Rocky Roll defeating this here Grave Club. But because I've just realised that we've gotten past even the Chompy Worm section of the Golden Desert without even explaining the rules of the core inversion Locke, because basically what it's all about is that if a Skylander is defeated in battle, they are classed as dead and cannot be used again. And second of all, whenever an element pops up, they must swap out to one of the 16 cores corresponding to that element with no questions asked, and cannot swap out again until the element of the area changes once more. So naturally, because the earth element popped up just now even, and there's no other elemental switch on the entirety of this level, I now need to clutch the entirety of the Golden Desert with Rocky Roar right here. And he doesn't seem to be doing too bad with it, actually. He's so overpowered, in fact, that he's even causing the PS4 to overheat a little bit, and you can, you know, kind of pick that up slightly. So yes, Rocky Roller's literally on fire right now, or at least he's causing a fire in terms of just how exciting he is for the PS4 to handle. And that's how the general rules go, and now it seems as though the Bone Chompy is finally making its appearance. But as for the Smash gameplay itself, as you can tell, it's inverted as I promised, matching that of the Skylanders core inversion lock, and also just like the Skylanders Trap Team core inversion lock, I see the same exact colours that you do for the Smash Bros gameplay. So yes, it's not only inverted for you guys, but it's inverted for me as well. So if the gameplay gets terrible at any point, let's just blame it all on that, because it's far harder to play with inverted colours than what it is, you know, otherwise. But regardless, with Rocky Roll here, I'm trying my hardest to cheese Bone Chompy, and finally I'm successful. I make the Bone Chompy chomp straight off the ledge and kill him without even attacking him a single time, because Rocky Roll's projectiles are slow, so no doubt if I turned around to try to attack him, he would have managed to chomp me, and that would have been an instant death for the current health that Rocky Roll was at. So he did a great job clutching it out and cheesing for Bone Chompy, of course. And jumping with Rocky Roll is just an easier way to manoeuvre around the stages, because he hasn't got the most smoothing of movements. And I could say the same for Samus actually, so whilst we're at it, I might as well, considering that this considering that the Smash side of this here post commentary even is centered around Dark Samus, I might as well give you my review of the character. And so naturally, she's a bit of a camper, and because of that, she certainly isn't the most fun to play against. You know, just watching her charge up her charge shot and then being off stage and then being sniped by it is beyond frustrating. But as all things in life, if it's frustrating to be on the receiving end on, then it's so satisfying to, of course, pull it off yourself. And I'm definitely going to have plenty of time to review Dark Samus here, considering that this here Chompy Web section is going to take a millennium. Moving back to Dark Samus, she's got the exact same moves as, of course, regular Samus, but I believe she's slightly heavier. I do love the design though, like she's got all of these veins running down her arm. It creates really unique texturing for the amiibo, as well as just a really cool texture in the game as well. So I'm glad about how those two things translate well physically and digitally for the character. And the attacks are most certainly fun, even if they aren't the most fun to be on the receiving end on, but it's beyond satisfying to just stand back and charge up a charge shot. It is poor pacing of the character though, because really all you do is you go to one ledge, you start mashing projectile attacks, and you go to the other ledge and you continue mashing attacks. You know, there's not really that much movement involved for this character. And she's not that fun to watch on a competitive level, because even at a competitive level there is an element of campiness to it. So she's fine, she's balanced enough, because projectiles, whilst being far too easy to spam, can easily be evaded and don't do too much damage. So naturally when you get up close and personal with Samus, because her melee based attacks aren't as strong as those ranged ones she has, she becomes a lot more easier to take down from that closer distance, mind you, and that grab range too. It's so easy to cheese with that, because you can just maintain your distance and keep throwing your enemies off the ledge to have some great ledge control. So definitely some tools Dark Samus seems to be in possession of. And speaking of tools, we just utilised a dynamite tool to blow up the wall on the Skylanders gameplay right here. Kind of weird, constantly transferring between the two gameplays to talk about each one simultaneously, but that's the interesting setup of the episode we have right here. But anyways, it's time now for the titles to come into play, and of course the question of the day: how would you guys represent Skylanders in Smash Brothers? And of course, you know, it would be highly hypocritical of me to ask you that question without answering it myself. So as for me personally, when it comes to how I'd represent Skylanders in Smash Brothers, I have a few pointers, and that of course starts off with the playable fighters in the game. Now, easily the most likely fighters would be Crash or Spyro, since they go beyond their Spyro's representatives. They are effectively guest stars from other larger franchises, so they're more recognisable characters, and they're characters that more people want to see than just an obscure Skylanders-based character. But even then, some Skylanders-based characters are classic and worthy of being included in Smash Brothers. Characters like Trigger Happy, Gil Grunt, Stealthwolf, and T-Rex would make excellent fighters, because they're just so classical and iconic to the franchise. If someone was to drop the word Skylander, then these are the first characters that would come to your mind. So that's why, if I had to pick a Skylanders-based character to be a fighter in Smash, I would say
most probably the choice would be Stealth Elf, because she just makes a lot of logical sense. Her moveset could be really fun and unique and distinctive to her, especially with some really unique aerials too. Or Pop Fizz as well, he could work quite nicely, because his down special could involve him turning into his beast mode and just going absolutely ravages on his enemies and all. So either way, Pop Fizz or Stealth Elf would make really awesome Smash fighters that could be great representatives of the Skylanders franchise, since they are the most iconic and universally beloved Skylanders of all of them. And it would make the most sense for Nintendo to want to pick them up, really. But still, if they are not even in the ballpark of likeliness when compared to Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, which can class themselves as Skylanders, even if they didn't originate as Skylanders, because they are, of course, guest stars throughout this franchise. So that's why I believe they come most likely, because they have franchises of their own to speak of. And I'm not alone in thinking that Crash Bandicoot should be added to Smash. I've heard a lot of talk and rumours about Crash Bandicoot and how he should be added to Smash, so I like the fact that people are in the same mindset as me. It makes Crash Bandicoot's inclusion to Smash feel more likely, and that will be so fun to play as Crash Bandicoot against several other iconic 3D platformers like Mario and Sonic and all that. Imagine a three-way smash between the two of them, right? Because of course Crash Bandicoot during his PS1 era, those would have been his greatest rivals. But moving on to costumes next, when it comes to sword fighters, there are no end of sword fighters from Skylanders that could work as Mii fighter costumes in Smash Bros. Of course, you have Wildstorm, which is the obvious choice. You know, his head design, his body, and his very unique sword that make for just a really cool looking and distinctive sword fight, and I'm sure people pay money for it just from how dope it could look. He's not the only one, of course. You could also have my personal favourite Igniter, though I can't really see how it would work, considering that Igniter doesn't really have a traditional head. So I don't think the sword fights would necessarily look the greatest. It would definitely look unique. And of course, you could also throw in a fan favourite in there, like Chop Chop, because he, of course, has a sword for shield, and he's like a skeletal-based design. So he's similar in vein to Samus. So they could definitely cut corners with development of that, and that doesn't mean it could be a bad Mii fighter costume. I think quite the opposite. I think a Chop Chop sword fighter costume has a lot of potential. But next up, we get to move on to the Mii Gunner design, and personally, I feel as though any bazooka type character would work in this role quite well. You know, characters like Bumble Blast, Food Fight, Torch. But there's no denying that the biggest fan favourite of all of these would be Magnet Charge, and he would just make the most sense to introduce as a Mii fighter. Though the only problem there is, of course, the wheels. What did they do? Do they give him more traditional legs like the Gunner, or, you know, maybe green legs to match the colour of Magnet Charge's wheel? Or do they give him a wheel, make the design all the more distinctive? There's questions like these that make me doubt that they put this much effort into a bloody Mii fighter costume, but it definitely would be cool to see Magna Charge as a gunner. But last and not least, we have, of course, the Brawlers. And really, when it comes to Skylanders, they don't really mesh well with blocky type Mii fighter based designs. You know, you've got characters like the Pig that work really well as Brawlers from the Minecraft series, but for Skylanders, I could really only see in one major one working, and that's Fist Bump, really. You know, having massive clobbering hands and being formed of rocks to become a rock golem is really just teeming with potential in terms of course, his him becoming a brawler Mii fighter costume is what I'm trying to go as far to say here. But the problem with that is that Fist Bump is an incredibly obscure character, so, you know, he wouldn't be the greatest representation of Skylanders as a whole. Like, if we want a Skylanders representation, we want characters that more widely represent the entirety of the franchise, which is where Stealth Elf and Pop Fizz come in as such great representations. Of course, Stealth Elf represents the fantasy elements of Skylanders at its finest, and then Pop Fizz represents all different Skylanders that have different styles of play. You know, the fact that Pop Fizz can swap between his Gremlin form and his Beast form. And speaking of being Beast, Rocky Roller's absolutely beasting this so far. He's got several clutches, and these bridges look rather interesting and inverted all the same. Though I did get kind of stuck on that bamboo bridge right now. But enough of pointing out for physics and Skylanders, or lack thereof. Yeah, that's ultimately the main problem with Fist Bump becoming a Brawler Skylander, and me not really having any better ideas for Brawler Skylanders, except maybe Roller Brawl being one of those Brawler Mii fighter costumes that represent Skylanders. You know, her hairdo and her head in general is really unique and could create for really interesting costuming. And on top of that, you know, we could have her claws as well. That would be really, really cool. But again, I was about to say she's more obscure, but she did reappear in Superchargers, so I suppose that reinvests my hope in Roller Brawl getting further representations, maybe even outside of Skylanders, because that's the whole theming of this day of Smashmas. That's being presented before you. And speaking of stuff being presented before you, we now have the arena battle that Rock 'n' Roll needs to clutch out with half health. Yeah, this is going to be interesting, shall we say. But now we get to move on to, of course, the stages. So first of all, if there was a Crash Bandicoot stage, and I would imagine for Thumpin' Wumpa Islands being a massive inspiration behind that stage, and then Spyro, you'd have probably one of the hub worlds. You know, maybe a little tour of one of the massive hub worlds on a flying platform, a bit similar to how stages from the Zelda and Mario franchise are executed. But really, for Skylanders, I feel like the most iconic ship in the whole of Skylanders has to be the Dread Yacht, and the fact that it's cursed too. So I could totally imagine the Dread Yacht, and then in the background, a tour of Skylands as you just fight upon this Dread Yacht with the unique kind of like shape it has. You know, I reckon there could be spikes at the far ends, and then of course, this shape the stage itself is shaped like the Dread Yacht. So you still have plenty of brawling room on like the far right, the far left, and in the very middle of the Dread Yacht itself. That could be really, really cool. And again, just being able to be taken on this tour through Skylanders as we see several iconic Skylanders characters, you know, NPCs like Blobbers and Glumshanks. I think any sort of Skylanders representation in Smash without them would be incredibly lackluster. If you want to represent the Skylanders franchise, you've got to bring in our two favourite NPCs now. Come on, especially considering the power scale of Blobbers, which is why I didn't suggest him for the character slot, because if Blobbers became a playable fighter in Smash Brothers, he'd be too broken. No one would want to play as anyone else besides Blobbers. That's the only reason why Nintendo wouldn't want to introduce him. He'd be too difficult to balance by miles with the rest of the cast. So yes, that's really where the stages could be really cool, getting to just go on a tour of Skylands and see all of our favourite characters and favourite levels in the background, or something that just is really aesthetically pleasing and distinctive and unique as well. Of course, it could have really unique colours to it, because Skylanders is a fantasy world set in the sky. There's not many franchises in Smash outside of Kid Icarus that I can off the top of my head that are based in the sky. But finally, we have the music. Now, I could see most of the music carrying over. I can't exactly see Activision saying no to Nintendo incorporating all of their original tracks into the Smash Brothers lineup. And man, hearing Skylanders music alongside Mario, Zelda, Pokemon music, all of that, it feels so glorious and so inclusive. Just part of this massive, expansive library, and you know, I can especially see the game being topped up with Sprites Adventure Giants and Swap Force music, because that's music that is a great representation of the Skylanders franchise as a whole. It's all original, it's all stuff that of course Activision owns and can give off rights to, no problems whatsoever. It's not like the Trap Team music that was all bought through royalties and all that, so therefore it's all copyrighted, as Activision don't actually own the rights to it. So yes, having all of that Skylanders music in Super Smash Bros. Would be awesome, and it'll be such great representation of the franchise. As for music in and of itself, it just builds upon the Skylanders world and feels as though it's included in, as part of it. Its rhythm, the sounds they go through, the instruments they use, they all just feel like they're part of this fancy world, and that diegeticness behind it just makes the world all the more immersive. And I can imagine playing it through the Skylanders stage with Skylanders music. Oh, how awesome that would be. I'm sorry if I'm making you drool a little, because I know this is really admirable, longing stuff that we can only dream of, really, because the chances of this happening are beyond slim. But this is just me speculating as to, well, how I would represent Skylanders. It's not even speculation upon how Nintendo would do it, it's just more so about how I would represent Skylanders in Smash Brothers, and that's where the question of the day comes in. I alluded to it before, and I'll allude to it again now. What do you guys think Skylanders representation in Super Smash Brothers would look like? You know, What Skylar do you think would get that prestigious Fighters Pass next? We've had Steve, Min Min, and Sephiroth so far, and I must admit Sephiroth is by far the best of all three of them thus far. He's really fun. I like how the fact that his sword has such huge range and smash attacks, but he's also so incredibly balanced right out of the bat. He's not like some characters that are either underpowered or overpowered significantly, since his aerial attacks have really long end lag despite their range and power, so it's a highly risk and reward type system with him. Like, do you risk throwing out the aerial and then being easily punished by it? And then of course all of his other attacks are pretty simple. They chain together quite well and create a good flow within his moveset. That's pretty fast paced too, so for once I'm not mad about sword fights because he's fun. He has a simple moveset to learn, and I realised that my rocky roll had the glitch where he got stuck for a moment there, but luckily I was able to quite literally jump out of it before Grave Clobber came and finished me off, so to say. That's another reason why I jump everywhere with rocky roll, because otherwise if I don't, it's likely that he's going to get stuck from his maneuverability, because that's a very common glitch with a character that's generally unpolished. He's probably the least most polished of all of the 16 cores from the core Inversion Locke, and the second most polished character overall, second of course to Blackout. Man, that guy has glitches galore to say the least. But yeah, that's one thing Smash Brothers doesn't have in common with Skylanders, or at least not Trap Team, mind you. It's just really lacking in glitches, which isn't too fun if you're a bit of a glitch seeker and you want to purposefully go out of your way to find these glitches and laugh at them. But if you're looking for a more polished experience, then you'll find out with Smash, because you know it's one of Nintendo's biggest franchises and one of the Switch's biggest sellers. Of course they want it to be polished. So that's one way of sharply contrasting the two different gameplay styles you see on screen before you. But moving on back to Sephiroth, I just really love his moveset, how it's built up, how much fun it is, and the range and balance it possesses. It just makes Sephiroth a really fun character that you never feel frustrated playing as or playing against, because he is beatable, believe it or not. And that is very impressive for a DLC fighter standpoint. Finally, we have a character who's not Steve and not Min Min, so they're actually fun. Because I remember with Steve, like literally a week after he came out, everybody just forgot about him. And now that I think about it, with Samus, I think people often forget that Dark Samus is of course her Echo Fighter, but Dark Samus isn't the only Metroid representation in Super Smash Bros. We'll get around to that right after we have a little bit of an intermission from the Smash Bros. Gameplay, but you know, we're going to finish the match we're on first and foremost, because I want to prove to you guys that I'm not only with the inverted colours in Skylanders Trap Team and in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but I'm in other words trying to prove that to all of you, and that's exactly what's going to happen with some visualization you'll see in the top left hand corner of the screen whenever the edit calls for it. So I'm just going to hold that up as a little bit of a warning that we're going to transition, of course, from Smash Bros. Gameplay to a little external cam showcasing me playing for Core Inversion Locke live, as you can see my TV perspective from that external angle brought about by my phone being set up, the chair behind me, and you can clearly tell that I am the one pushing the buttons and playing the game thoroughly throughout it. So yes, hopefully I've managed to sync up these quite well in the edit, and if I haven't, then it's all Glumshake's fault. It's not really Glumshake's fault, he's too powerful of an NPC. I wouldn't dare want to cross him and his insane Super Saiyan power levels. It's fortunate that Chaos is main bad guy, not him, because if we had to fight off against Glumshakes, oh boy, even with an entire army of Skylanders, we would be screwed, my friend. Screwed, I tell you. But regardless, this is 12 days of Smashmas, and of course I'm commentating this long after I recorded the entirety of Core Inversion Locke, because that series was recorded all the way back in November even. So naturally, I think now's the perfect time for a few Christmas updates. Now, of course, that quick little intermission from the proving of the Core Inversion this we can of course get back to the Smash Bros. Gameplay. But as for Christmas itself this year, it's definitely going to be very different. Unfortunately, we can't quite see as much family as we normally would, and that's really disappointing, honestly. I was looking forward to seeing them, especially after spending so long in my university accommodation. Getting to see them face to face would have been glorious, but you know, that's just world we live in at the moment. And in a year like this one, 2020, I think Christmas is exactly what we need. We need that spirit, that love and everything. And hey, here I go into the settings of the game to, well, prove to you guys that I have been playing Skylanders Trap Team on hard this entire time. It might not seem like it because Rocky Roll just clutched out an entire level, but believe in me, he did indeed get through the entirety of the Golden Desert with some close calls. I'm not going to deny that much, but he got through it all the same. What a clutch. Man, kind of makes me feel bad for any sort of insults I gave Rocky Roll beforehand. So any insults I've instantly taken back that were directed towards Rocky Roll, mind you, because if getting through the entirety of Golden Desert single-handedly doesn't prove how good you are as a Skylander, I don't know what will. The greatest thing about Rocky Roll is the fact that he is one of the most memed upon Skylanders. You can see scattered all around the screen right now, all sorts of different Rocky Roll memes I was able to find all over the internet, and as you can tell, they're incredibly hilarious. So I love just how memed upon this character is as well, and the fact that despite being memed upon, he managed to get through the entirety of the Golden Desert. Anyway, I was saying some stuff about Christmas beforehand and completely lost track of it all. And sad thing about Christmas this year is that I'm sure a lot of people wanted a PlayStation 5 or one of the new Xbox consoles, and for those people, unfortunately, they're just going to have to deal with Christmas being ruined this year, quote unquote, because they're incredibly hard consoles to get their hand on. They were significantly underproduced on behalf of Sony and Microsoft, and that made it easy for scalpers to pick up multiple and sell them on eBay for ridiculous prices, and worse yet, scam them because people are so desperate for them. So, it's made it the most demanded and most scammed item this Christmas for PlayStation 5 and all. And as soon as I can find a PlayStation 5, I absolutely will be picking one up. And actually, we finally have had an elemental switch so we can swap out the Trailblazer now. After all, it's his turn for rotation rather than Torch, and it's about time he got some more screenplay, because this character can get pretty insane, as we're about to see, from how well he's going to perform in his combat scenario. Just look at this fire. It's being launched everywhere. What chaos, indeed. Which is appropriate, because that's the name of the main villain in this game that we will be fighting in the finale that will be premiering live around this time next week. But regardless, getting back into, of course, Christmas and about how, the most wanted item isn't going to be many households this year, because it's just too hard to get your hands on at this point in time, because it's so significantly produced, and I will be getting my hands on PS5 as soon as possible. If I walk into a store and see it in stock someday, then of course I'm going to be picking it up. That's simply put what's going to be happening with me and my patience, because I'd rather wait out and get a PlayStation 5 at recommended retail where it has a warranty and it's guaranteed that I'm getting the console, rather than spending ridiculous prices on eBay to get it a few months early. I can see why some people are desperate, if it's for one thing that their kids so desperately wanted and without it their Christmas will be ruined. But at the end of the day, if that was my kid, I would just turn around and say, sorry kid, your Christmas is going to be ruined this year. I'm not spending $1,500 on, a box that's going to arrive with a photo of a PlayStation 5 and a bunch of rocks, because that seems to be the most common scam. Like, people have been getting rocks inside nothing but a PlayStation 5 box and the photo of the console itself, or people have also been getting foot massages, and one person got a concrete block inside the box. It's hilarious, some of these scams, and it just goes to show why you should read the description, because sometimes, they put them in the description, and if the item comes as described, you can't get a refund via the eBay money back guarantee. So if you read the description and realise, oh, he said it was a photo, I'm not going to buy this. But if you bought it and didn't read the description, and in the description it explicitly stated this is a photo of a PlayStation 5, then you could say goodbye to that grand you spent on a fancy new PlayStation 5. Well, that you thought you were spending on a PlayStation 5 anyway. But let's be beating this puzzle right here. I wish I could play Skylanders on PS5, or better yet, actually have a Skylander to swap out for, because the element of the area has swapped to Undead. But unfortunately, both of my Undead Skylanders were defeated in combat, and as I said earlier, it means that they are dead and cannot be used throughout the rest of the series. So now that naturally means that Trailblazer has to clutch out the entirety of the level. He needs to pull off a Rocky Roll is what he needs to do. Which is easier said than done, because this level involves the Golden Queen boss fight, which gets pretty insane to say the least. But hey, I reckon we could solo shot it. We have solo shot it with Rattle Ranger before even, because Rattle Shake sucks, but Rattle Ranger on the other hand, He is fantastic, phenomenal, one of the greatest Skylanders ever perceived. Definitely a top MVP of any Locke I've ever done, because Rattle Ranger is just that broken and so much more better in comparison to that of the puny, stupid little Rattle Shake. Who wouldn't want to play as him when you can play as Rattle Ranger instead? But enough of that. As you can tell, my charge has been very effective in getting a constant stun cycle with this guy and just absolutely scorch him. Get him out of here, you could go as far as saying. And now we're bringing down some of these blocks. But yeah, it's definitely been an interesting Christmas, this one. One which I have been working for the majority of, so I've managed to, earn some money. So how else was I supposed to afford the PS5 whenever they come back and stop now, right? Oh man, that poor Barber, he's shivering, he's got goosebumps all over him, he's a bit of a scaredy cat right now. I've got to save him from all of the terror of these guys right here, because I must admit, even I'm kind of terrified of these guys right now. I'm even stuttering with my eye to add to the tension it builds. Will Trailblazer come out here alive, or will this last episode of Inversion Locke be cancelled like that Woody's Roundup TV show from, of course, Toy Story 2, which I just had to reference, because that is one incredible movie. And I've realised that in this 12 Days of Smashmas video we have moved on to talk very little about Smash. But what's cool about Smash Ultimate is that it actually released in December of 2018, so it came out perfectly timed for that holiday season. Kids that were getting a Switch and Smash Brothers for that. Seriously, Trailblazer, you're gonna die halfway through me praising Smash Brothers. I can't believe you do this, Trailblazer. How irresponsible of you. Why would you do that to me? And now that Trailblazer's dead, I have no choice but to put an X on the layout and swap out for Cobra Kadabra. Hopefully he can not only finish off his combat scenario, but single-handedly defeat the Golden Queen too, because 2 losses for this stage is purely unacceptable. Doesn't mean we're going to lose for Locke, but because we just have such a sheer abundance of characters up our arsenal to take advantage of. But still, for fewer the deaths, the better. That's just how Locks go. That's the entire aim of the Locke. But going back to Smash Ultimate and about its genius release window, since of course you could have easily for 2018 got Nintendo Switch as well as Smash Bros. Ultimate for Christmas, and that was for Switch's second Christmas too. The first Christmas came out and you still had an incredible lineup. You had Miracle 8 Deluxe, you had Breath of the Wild, and you had Odyssey, which was the main reason why I wanted to Switch. So I got my Switch for Christmas of 2017 alongside Odyssey, and it was wonderful. I cannot believe that my Switch is turning 3 years old on Christmas Day this year. Holy crap. And it's actually Christmas Day is going to occur between this episode and the finale that's premiering next week, so definitely got some hype stuff building up. Because we can't really see many family relatives over Christmas, what we're going to be doing on Christmas Day instead is that we are going to be gathering as a household of 4 and just playing some games. You know, I bought my family this really cool little game called Chameleon, and what it is that you have 3 different kinds of cards of 2 different colours. You have a blue card and green card. So on the green card there's a 4x4 grid with 16 different words associated with a different theme on it. So say there's food, one of the grid spaces is a potato. So the blue cards have like different combinations of dice rolls. So you have 2 dice and you roll a dice, and then based on that dice roll combination you look at your card and find the combination on there, and that shows you what part of the grid you need to look at on the green card. So once you know what part of the grid you need to look at from the green card, thanks to getting the dice combination and being able to see it on your blue one, you can name a word associated with that word on the grid. It's very hard to explain this using just my voice, but yeah, that's basically when lots of blame is shifted around, because there's one card, the Chameleon card, where you don't know what word on the grid has been chosen from the dice roll, because normally where you would have dice roll combinations displayed and where in the grid you need to look based on the dice roll combination, Chameleon doesn't have any of that and simply needs to guess what the word is that everybody else is talking about by giving a word even that's associated with that word on the grid that has been selected by, of course, the dice roll combination, the RNG of it all. So yes, it was rather quite quite a fun game to partake in because there's just so much shenanigans that goes along with it. After all, it involves a lot of swearing and pointing fingers, and so naturally it can get really loud and just really fun to watch the chaos pursue as people call each other out, and friendships are ruined. It's like Mario Party but the board game. So I've got them that, and we will no doubt be playing that on Christmas Day. Hopefully you guys have some semblance of clue what I was talking about when I was explaining about Chameleon, one of my new favourite board games of all time. I played it with my roommates at university, which are all absolute legends, as I've established previously in the core Inversion Locke series. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun hanging around with them, playing board games and all that. We've even played a few digital games as well, like Jack and Box games that were basically cute little mini game selections that you could host on your laptop, but then you could connect your phones to them via like a codage system similar to that of Kahoot. It's really, really cool actually, and I like how it's called Jack and Box games too. And that almost kind of parallels Coca-Cobra's gameplay on the screen right now as he fights Golden Queen, because he launches out mini snake baskets, and so the snake baskets have a similar aesthetic to a Jack-in-the-Box. Just pretend the basket is a box instead, and the snakes are constantly bobbing their heads in and out and just don't have any sort of wind-up mechanism to jump scare you with them. But they're still similar enough aesthetically, so that's where all of this crazy commentary from mine is coming in. And hey, it's real convenient we got that food right there, because we took a little bit of damage as Copacabra, and I really don't want to lose this guy, especially after he's had some incredible clutch moments in this series thus far. He's been really fun to play as too. One of the most fun courts from Chapter 2 by miles. Can we put Copacabra and Specialist instead? Forget Stealth Elf, forget T-Rex, forget Gilgurt, forget Trigger Happy, forget Pop Fizz, put Copacabra in there instead. I like the sound of that. Him and his magical flute and his little baby snake baskets. Yeah, Christmas is definitely going to be interesting this year. It's going to be fun too, just getting to spend time with the family after having spent so long in university, being able to sit down and play some games with all of them and just relax and let the stresses of life just fade away. But yeah, it's on a Friday this year too, which is rather interesting timing for how the books bank holidays even fall. Normally for bank holiday, in the UK, we have something called Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas Day. It's a bank holiday, so not many people work during it. Normally stuff like the Mackey's employees that still have to work, because people, no matter what day of the year it is, still want Mackey's apparently. Like seriously, picture that, being sad enough to actually want a McDonald's on Christmas Day. But enough of my McDonald's rambling. Yeah, it's normally bank holiday for Boxing Day, but because Boxing Day falls on a weekend this year, it's a Saturday, because Saturday is directly after for Christmas Day, which is a Friday. Instead, the bank holiday carries over to Monday, because weekends, you can't have a bank holiday on a weekend. It has to be during midweek for a bank holiday, so we have pushed back the bank holiday to Monday instead, so most people from work will be getting a 4-day weekend as they get both Christmas Day and the 28th of December off, because the 28th of December will be the bank holiday carried over by Boxing Day, unfortunately being on that Saturday. So yes, rather interesting setup that one. And some people are even going to get Christmas Eve off as well, so that's 5 days of work. I definitely, I can't even think of the words, envy those people. That's the word I was looking for. I was looking for a fancy word of being jealous of them, and I suppose that's where the word envy comes in. Oh hey, we have mini little snakes being an absolute beast, taking down their projectile based turrets, which of course once they were defeated, all of their golden pellets just vanished, I suppose. And we even got some pizza from it too, allowing Copacabra to heal himself all the way up to 600 health, which is precisely what we need. But now it's time for us to make our match, because Golden Queen, oh boy, she's so much more than that. I have no idea why I'm repeating exactly what she said right here. I suppose it's just repetition for effect and all. After all, that is one of my favourite effects, to put emphasis on things through the utilisation of repetition, mind you. Anyway, here for artist foul Golden Queen and her crazy silver pellets, because normally they're golden of course, but gold colours inverted are blue instead, so they look rather silver-esque, you know, it's almost like we're fighting the Silver Queen right here rather than the Golden Queen, which definitely would have made an interesting villain, and I think it could have been an interesting character standpoint to take as well, like maybe her being the sibling of Golden Queen, but, you know, maybe she's the complete opposite of Golden Queen, so she's good and utilises her gift to benefit Skylands. But seriously, why does Golden Queen even want all of her golden Skylands when she can just turn everything she touches into gold? Like, just get all of the cheapest produced items in the whole of Skylands and turn it to gold using your golden touch. Why do you need pure gold specifically? It's full to the brim with plot holes. And you know what doesn't have plot holes? Smash Ultimate, because it doesn't really have much of a plot. Sure, you have the story modes. What's it called? World of Light, which I still haven't beaten yet, which is why I suppose I forgot entirely what it's called. I know I'm guilty as charged, but I still haven't beat World of Light 2 years later. But yeah, that doesn't really have much of a story to it. You just go around and fight a bunch of spirits, and then it has a few CGI cutscenes, and that's about it, really. Because man, do I wish they had more CGI cutscenes. They look so glorious. I wanted more of that. I would have liked, you know, an entire Super Smash Bros. Movie with that CGI style, rather than, you know, some stupid spirit battles that just get rather repetitive, tedious, and most certainly frustrating. Like, some of them are overly powered for no reason whatsoever. For spirits and Ultimate, just they aren't the greatest mechanic swap up. Like, sure, they definitely do make Ultimate more distinct in comparison to other games, but it just makes Smash 4 feel more garbage in comparison to Ultimate, because Ultimate does everything that Smash 4 does, but 10 million times better. So why would you ever want to play Smash 4 now that Smash Ultimate exists? That was basically Smash Ultimate's purpose, to dethrone Smash 4 entirely. Not that it was ever considered the best Smash game, but it most certainly is considered one of the most active. Like, seriously, people still play that competitive to this day. Not as much as they do mainly, but they still play it competitively all the same. Especially since Smash 4 is notoriously the game where Bayonetta and Donkey Kong are dumb, stupid, broken. You know, if they are basically the Crypt King and Wildfire of the Smash Brothers roster, but Cobra still hasn't died yet. That's quite impressive, but we still have to get away from Golden Queen's crawling towards us right now. The last thing we want to do is be smashed by her fist, which deals like 9,999 damage, so basically nobody's surviving that. And I get PTSD from this section ever since I stupidly lost Crypt King at it during the Trapmaster Soul Link, so naturally I traverse a lot more carefully these days, and that care and almost patience that was put into it was not only really tension building, but it's what ultimately led to Golden Queen's defeat right there. Get in there, my people, and 4,000 gold to boot. Don't mind if we do. Now, one thing I completely didn't even realise until now about Cobra Kadabra is that with his inverted colour palettes, he looks almost like his King variant counterpart, with the exception of his basket being a completely different shape. So yeah, that's rather interesting. You know, if you don't have an in-game version of King Cobra Kadabra, then you can just invert the colours, place Cobra Kadabra onto the portal, and it looks just like his King Cobra counterpart. I just find that beyond interesting, really. The idea of taking a regular Skylander, inverting their colours, and finding out that that's exactly how the variant looks. But fun fact, I actually got for King Cobra Kadabra long after the regular Cobra Kadabra, because regular Cobra Kadabra I got on a triple pack alongside Batspin, who's unfortunately dead in terms of the core inversion lock, because Wolfgang exists and he's very hard. He creates big sad moments. But moving on from there, of course, Hogwild Fire was also really fun, so that was a great triple pack to have picked up. One of my personal favourite triple packs ever created in Skylanders, because it possesses 3 phenomenal characters within it. But then, shortly after I got that, I also managed to pick up a single pack for the King Cobra Kadabra, so that's when I got the variant. I got the variant after I got the triple pack, containing the regular Cobra Kadabra, and I say that's irregular because most people got the King Cobra Kadabra variation first, and most people still have that as their only variation of Cobra Kadabra. They're still yet to get the regular one, so to say, which I find awfully interesting personally. Because for some reason, King Cobra Kadabra was just mass-produced, whereas the regular version, not so much. I mean, it was definitely produced enough to a certain extent, but not as much as King Cobra Kadabra was. But I suppose that's just because when variants come out, people get really excited about those and try their hardest to pick them up. And King Cobra Kadabra even was one of the few cores that even got a variant and trap team, so that hype alone was definitely going to help sell the figurine And now we have Unshanks in blue and some glowing green Traptanian crystals. Definitely an interesting perspective right here. And Chaos's massive head is green. I'm suddenly and inexplicably more terrified by this version of Chaos right now. Like, seriously, why give him a purple head when this green head is so much more terrifying? Good lord, I'm terrified. I cannot emphasize my pure terror right now. And he's addressing me too. He's breaking the fourth wall. What is this? Chaos? Chaos, you gotta stop this here. You're freaking me out. Wait, you can see me through this thing? Oh no. What's he gonna do? Oh, I don't want to get hurt by this guy right here. He's got all his power up his sleeve, and now he knows that I'm here. There's no hiding. There's nowhere I can hide. That Chaos won't find me. I am big scared dum-dum. And now he's laughing too. He's mocking me, I tell you. So I cannot wait to take this guy down in the finale, which I can't emphasize enough. Shall be premiering Monday of next week. It's gonna be a hype one. And let's just give a round of applause for what's currently our new MVP of Cobra Cadabra. There's no use denying it, because Cobra Cadabra just single-handedly got through the entirety of the Golden Queen boss fight. How could you not say that that is MVP material? He certainly is my MVP. But that's going to do it for this here core Inversion Locke episode. That was quite a mouthful, and I will of course be seeing you next one. But until that moment arises, peace. Whoa, 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 let's just put the gameplay down there on pause for a moment as we acknowledge the fact that I have made a criminal mistake, because I forgot to wear this Christmas jumper when I was in, of course, this yellow box to start off the video with, and I am beyond apologetic to that. But it wouldn't seem to be the first time that I made this terrible mistake, because there was an entire scene showing my face and my shirt on without the Christmas jumper in the previous day of Smashmas that I uploaded yesterday, so naturally it seems as though that mistake is carried over, and I am beyond disappointed for myself because now my day is ruined. But enough of memes, we're going to put them aside and talk about some Metroid representation in Smash, because sure, it definitely has been fun to speculate upon what Skylanders representation in Smash could look like. That shouldn't come at the expense of looking at an actual franchise that does have representation in Smash already. And since we have been leveling up this amiibo this entire time, which as you saw already through the gameplay, she's reached level 50 already. But regardless of all that, we might as well look into the franchise that Doc Samus comes from, which is Metroid, and how all represented it is through Smash. So without further ado, we're going to start off with characters and of course re-invert the colours so they are back to their regular norm as we check out not only the fighters and of course their alternate costumes, and then we will move on to the stages. Quite obviously, in fact. But before we even think about getting into these fighters, it's about time we enlarge on this screen. I mean, come on, it's been stuck in this top left-hand corner of the video for forevers now. So, editor, can you do me a favour and just enlarging it for me? Alright, thanks for that, my friend. Anyway, we're going to re-invert the colours as I promised. So, despite how glorious this roster looks in inverted colours, we're going to check out in for default colours what these alternate skins of Samus looks like. And I gotta tell you, Samus is an interesting Smash representative, since she too has been here since the very first iteration of Smash on the Nintendo 64. So she's one of the dozen Smash fighters to have returned in every single Smash game since then, and naturally that has brought about a lot of interesting modifications to her suits that of course create the alt costumes that you see me slowly cycling through right now. And that black one was most certainly glorious even, but it was our last one to check out, as we have now returned to the default Samus skin right here. So now we have the star of the episode, none other than Dark Samus, who was introduced in Ultimate as an Echo Fighter to Samus, meaning her moves are the same, but they hit slightly harder or some sort of modification along those lines. Regardless, these costumes look fantastic, and each one of them maintains the kind of like veins that ripple on the outside of her armour, so it looks quite glorious, all of that, especially this golden one. It's very cool in terms of the texture, mind you. Yeah, we've also got this black and yellow one with very sharp contrast and colours even. And then we return to the regular default Dark Samus over here. Next up we have Zero Suit Samus, who had an interesting introduction because she was introduced in Super Smash Bros. Brawl as a brand new Metroid representative. However, she was still part of the original Samus's moveset, because what happened is that after you utilised Samus's final smash, she lost her armour and became Zero Suit Samus. But in Smash 4 even, they separated the two characters, and since then they have been separate entities, both representing the same franchise. That, of course, being the Metroid franchise, mind you. So yes, as I cycle through, you guys can tell that there were definitely plenty of Zero Suit Samus ults to choose from, mind you. Smash 4 didn't do too much interesting to represent the Metroid franchise besides separate Samus and Zero Suit Samus, but ultimately, on the other hand, introduced a character that was originally perceived to be too big for Smash, and that was Ridley, which we suppose that was the only reason why he wasn't introduced in Smash 4, despite the demand, but clearly, by downscaling him, Sakurai and the development team really made it work, because as you can tell, having Ridley in Smash is awesome, and as are all of these awesome ult forms right here. We even have Mecha Ridley, but that returns us back to our default skin for Ridley right here. So without further ado, let's take a look at the stages before we have a 4-player battle with these 4 characters that I just showcased. Coincidentally enough, there are just as many stages representing the Metroid franchise in Super Smash Bros. As there are fighters representing the Metroid franchise. So naturally speaking, we're going to get through these names a lot more faster than what we did with the Super Mario franchise, because there's only 4 of them to speak of, and that starts off with none other than Brinstar. But from there we move on to Brinstar Depths. When it comes to the names, it's not the most original, because all they did was take Brinstar, which they had made already, and add the word Depths on the end. I wonder how many brain cells it took to come up with that, but regardless, moving on from there, we have Frigid Orpheon, which apparently, for me, it's most well known as the stage which my cat loves to walk in front of the TV for. But moving on from there, our final stage is going to be North Air. So no doubt you guys are wondering what is my favourite stage of these 4. Well, we will find out once we conduct our 4-player Smash with the 4 fighters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate representing the Metroid franchise, mind you. So without further ado, let's get to it. So now we've checked out them 4 stages, let's get into this 4-player Smash with all of the Metroid representatives in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, mind you. So we have all of them in their Christmassy most attires, and of course threw in Dirk Samosa for good measure. I called it that because I nickname Samus as Samosa because I'm always hungry playing as her apparently, and of course this is a dark variation, so it would be funny to mispronounce it. Anyway, my favourite of those 4 stages is none other than North Air. I love how chaotic and fast-paced the stage is, because it demands good reaction times as you react to all of the fire and the hazards, so it rewards concentration and that keeps you immersed in the stage, so to say. But now, I suppose it's time to comment on the fact that there's a dragon on the screen. How freaking cool is that? Now the lava has risen, they gotta be careful of that. Ridley's trying to bring out some fire, but it seems as though enemies are spiking down upon him, and now Dirk Samus has got a assist trophy. Oh, and here comes a lava waterfall once again. Dirk Samus just barely missing it. Oh, no, and then she's reflected straight back into it, but not killed from it, apparently. Instead, she's getting KOs from the original Samus over there. But hey, Ridley KOs her in the end, but wastes his final smash. Oh, and then we got some up smashes from Samus, who's now been shrunk, and some up smashes from Dark Samus, actually, and another lava tide pool, like waterfall type thing coming in here. I think that was descriptive enough. Now we have a massive wave of lava, but who's going to manage to get into the pod in time? Oh, Zero Suit Samus is bringing out her final smash and absolutely ripping into Ridley with it. Boom, and she managed to successfully KO the original Samus. And Dirk Samosa also got KO'd in the process, but the original Samus comes in and takes out Zero Suit Samus, getting her revenge. Oh, and here comes the final smash of the original Samus, one that would normally in Brawl make her be reduced to her Zero Suit format. Oh, but there goes a up smash from Dirk Samus, and of course a final smash, which with her being in an Echo 5 with the original Samus is the exact same. There's even a Maximum Tomato over there if anyone feels like healing up 50. Anyway, we have a final smash on Ridley's behalf with an incredible animation. But it doesn't kill anything, but hey, he does get the Maximum Tomato afterwards and heals up some of his percentage. Oh, and here comes a Pokemon, one of the psychic types, I believe, that transferred him straight into the lava pool, it would seem, and by him I mean Ridley. Either way, we've got Dirk Samus ledge attacking regular Samus and putting her into the lava waterfall, it would seem. Oh, and here comes another splash of the lava wave, which is going to KO everyone but Ridley in the last 5 seconds. Maybe that'll be the final change, turn of the tides that will solidify Ridley's victory. Or there will be a sudden death between the 2 Samuses, which means that the original Samus takes home the cake and is crowned the greatest of the Metroid representatives in Super Smash Bros. And man, I am loving that Christmas attire even, with Ridley and Zero Suit Samus joined in 3rd place, because we have +1 to both the Samuses and -1 to both Ridley and Zero Suit Samus alike.